Is there anyone in from the northeast today? Is there? One or two? Can you all just see where they are so that when you don't understand what I'm saying, they can interpret for us? Okay? Well, thanks for inviting us here today. As Will said, I can visit my family as well. It's brilliant. The reason I entitled this talk, Mutuality Forever, is because it's something that I passionately believe in. Co-ops, social enterprise, employee ownership, call it what you will. I passionately believe in it. And one day, my partner tells me, in 1996, we were walking down a street in London, and we were having this debate about the banks. And you know how all the building societies were turning into banks, and they were giving people money saying, "Ooh, come on, we'll be a bank, we'll be a bank." And I was like, there's something wrong in this, you know. There's something not quite right. These building societies are owned by their members, and it's all getting taken away. And by God, it proved to be right. Me sort of intuition was right, you know, when the banking crisis hit. So that's why I call it Mutuality Forever. Okay. Right. In 1973, my then husband got a job in a building cooperative called Sunderlandia. And he brought home the Memonots this night. He was a bricklayer. And I read through them, you know. I had such an exciting life at the time. I read the Memonots and said, "Hey, do you know, you've got a say in the running of this business. You've got a vote. Isn't that great? Isn't that the way things should be?" And I was, oh, brilliant, brilliant. And I met one of the founder members of Sunderlandia, a guy called Robert Oakeshott. And, you know, in cooperatives, it's the same in Sunderland Home Care. When you work in a cooperative, you tend to have a lot of meetings and you tend to have a lot of parties, any excuse. And I used to go to the Sunderlandia meetings. And Robert Oakeshott, who was a lovely, lovely man, he said, "Margaret, have you ever thought of starting a cooperative?" I says, "Robert, I've got 2 bands, no money, no qualifications." Not really, you know. But I did start to think about it. I started to think, and a lot of my friends and people I knew were in the same boat as me. Small children, bands, no money, no prospects. So I got a group of us together. There were 7 of us. Now, I know that picture looks like it's coming from the 1870s, but it was the 1970s, right? That's us in our bands. And our bands have got bands now. So what we did, it took us 2 years to get the £8,500 we needed to buy that shop, which was a 3-story building, big 3-bedroom flat upstairs. We used to use the flat upstairs as a nursery for the bands because it was before the times of state nurseries. So we'd work in the shop, there'd be 1 upstairs looking after the bands, 2 in the shop, change round every hour. And we decided that we would sell food. Everybody always needs food. So that's what we did. Whole foods, sandwiches, you name it, tins, packets, any food. Now, the reason I go back to the 70s is because it changed those 7 women, myself included. It was a massive change in our lives. It was such a powerful tool in what we did, and we started to feel much better about ourselves. Not only did we learn new skills, oh, by the way, I never take much notice of the slides, so you sort of like, if I go off on a tangent, it's because I don't really don't take much notice. But yeah, I always like to talk about the history because it's such a powerful tool. We all learned the business of running a business. And you know, I started doing the books. I think Robert showed me how to do the books. And we had a fortnightly meeting. Actually, we still have a fortnightly meeting. This started in 1974 when we got together. And those 6 of us now, because 1 moved away, the same 6 women meet every fortnight, we're a bottle of wine and our nibbles. And it's such a fabulous thing to do with a group of women that you've grown older with. Started when we were little young'uns. It did change our lives and it built confidence. And I was telling you about doing the books. At these meetings, I felt great, you know, because they would always say, "How we're doing this month?" And I'd say, "Oh, we're doing great, you know, we've got this much in the bank." And I was like, "Oh, this is great." They always ask me. And I thought, hang on a minute, we're a workers' cooperative. That's not the point of a workers' cooperative. So I taught the first woman how to do the books. She did them for a VAT period, 3 months, and then she taught the next woman, and so on and so forth. And that's what we did in that little business. Everyone knew all aspects of running the business, and it really, really changed our lives. Oh, and the main thing was, it was great. We had such good fun in that shop. We sold the shop in 1980 because the economic climate was really, it was terrible. And we borrowed that £8,500. We wanted to make sure that it was paid back. The children, by that time, the bairns, they were at nursery school, they were all at school. So we made the really tough decision to sell the shop and pay back the debt. But we still kept meeting as a group. And in 1980, when we sold the shop, I decided, oh, it's about time you got an education, girl, and went to the local polytechnic, then the university now. I chucked the coin, social work, community work, social work, community work, and it fell on the community work side of it, thank God, you know, because I just, I don't think I would have fitted in as a social worker. I haven't been told what to do. At the end of that time at college, I was asked to set up, would I be interested in setting up a home care cooperative? And, well, it's one of these things, you know, once you've worked in a cooperative, it sort of gets into your blood. And my daughter will say to me, you've got the bug, haven't you? You've got the cooperative bug. And she's right, I have, and this was from the 70s. I was asked if I was interested in setting up a home care cooperative. Now, our shop was called Little Women Limited, so we called our new co-op Little Women Household Services Limited. And the Little Women tag it was sort of tongue-in-cheek, really, because what we were doing wasn't little, it was really big, you know, we were really getting well into our businesses. So we set this home care cooperative up in 1983. And what would happen was I'd find someone who, for some reason, could not get a local authority home help. I'd go and visit them, do a little assessment. It was only simple stuff then, housework, shopping and laundry. And then I would write to the DHSS, as it was known then, and ask them for an additional requirements payment. That would be put on the person's pension. We'd go in and do the work, and then they'd pay us. We all joined NUPE, as it was then, because we didn't want to be seen as backdoor privatisation by anybody. So we went and talked to the local authority home helps. We joined NUPE because we wanted to bring them along with us, the trade unions, not us and them situation. Little Women Household Services employed 20 people, all women at the time, and I was offered a post at the Prince's Trust Community Venture to sort of start running that project. I took it. A, it was well paid, and B, it was a challenge. But at the same time, the Thatcher government withdrew those additional requirements payments. So Little Women Household Services didn't go bust or anything. It just sort of petered out and sort of just went moribund, really. So there I am, busy and away at the Prince's Trust Community Venture, working with young people and really changing people's lives. It was a fabulous concept. But then the Griffiths report on care in the community came out in '89, I think it was, test years. When did the care in the community report, Griffiths, come out? '89, I'm sure it was. So a little light bulb went on in my head, you know, because ding, like that. I thought, oh, the government is forcing local authorities to outsource some of their provision of care and support. What better way of doing that than using a cooperative? So I went to see Robert Oakshott, my old mate from the Sunderlandia days. Robert was now running an organisation called Job Ownership Limited, which is does what it says on the tin. It's about employee ownership. And he said, well, Margaret, it's a really good idea. I think you should go to New York to have a look at the American home care cooperatives. They're a bit further ahead than us. And I says, oh, Robert, have I got to? Have I got to go to New York, do you mean? And honestly, it was great. Me and Rachel, Robert's assistant, went to New York and we spent 3 days in the Bronx with the black and Hispanic women, doing some training and looking at the kinds of work they did. Then we went to Philadelphia and looked at the work that was being done there. And I came back really all fired up, ready to go. I got help with my business plan from Rachel and Robert, and there was an expression of interest in the local press in 1993 for people who wanted to provide care services. So I put forward the business plan, and out of over 100 expressions of interest, they chose 7, and one of them was us, because Little Women Household Services gave us a bit of a background in care. So when they asked us, when can you start providing the service, I looked at my diary, and July the 4th was on a Monday, so I says, oh, I should be able to be provided in July the 4th. We'll never forget that date, you know. So that's what we did. Recruited 20 people. When I say here, training is a priority. It always has been. We think we're fab because we're a workers' cooperative, well, employee-owned company now. We think we're brilliant. Nobody else does. You've got to prove that you're the best and give the best quality service. Where our democratic principles are at the heart of our organisation. So it's really important to us that people are consulted and they have a say in the running of the business. We decided to expand. Now, the board of directors is elected by the workforce. And as a board of directors, we said, look, we want employee ownership, social enterprise, cooperative, call it what you will. We want it to be put on the map. We're not people with leather sandals and eating lentils all day, which at the time, mind, that was like the image of cooperatives, you know. That's not what we're about. We're serious about our business being sustainable and viable. So let's put employee ownership on the map. Let's make ourselves big. Come on, go for it. Because otherwise, I know you've got John Lewis and that, but not many people know much about our sector. So we decided to expand. And this is Hilary Armstrong a few years ago when she came to Sunderland to see us. She was the chief whip at the time. How things change. She's lovely. So this is what's happened from 1994 to now. I'm not sure if I've got to press this each time. Nothing's happening. Can you help me, please?
Give it another press.
Give it another press? Oh, brilliant. Right, so we started in 1994 with 20 workers. We've got 440 now. We started with 450 hours of care per week. We've got 10,000 plus now. And our turnover is now running at about 5.5 million, with a pre-tax profit of about 170 grand. Now, that's not a high profit, you can see, but see, it's not what you, we're not not-for-profit. We've got to be sustainable and viable. It's what you do with your profit that makes it different. So ours gets put back into the business to start new projects or to give shares to our employees. We changed our structure from workers' cooperative to employee-owned business about 10 years ago. And the reason was we wanted to be able to give the people who'd worked in the company for so long and been committed to the company some sort of a reward. In a co-op, it's one person, one vote. And you can't, I suppose you could give them a bonus, but then you'd be paying tax and national insurance on that. Whereas in an employee-owned company, it's really tax efficient because whatever we put into our employee benefit trust, whatever we put into that, doesn't attract corporation tax. And when the shares mature, now it takes 5 years for shares to mature, but that's okay. You know, we've been going 18 years now, we've got lots of mature shares, and you don't pay tax and national insurance on them. So you tend to get a very committed workforce in our kind of organisation. What we do all sorts. We help older, disabled and vulnerable people. This is older people usually. That's the vast majority of the home care. We try and keep them at home for as long as possible because that's what people want. They want to stay in their own homes with their own things around them for as long as humanly possible. One of our diversification things, you know, when I said we're going to get big, I went to see this disability student group at the uni and said, look, we've got all these trained workers. You've got some disabled students. Why don't we work with you on that? And that's what we do. We provide academic support for students with disabilities. Maybe scribe for them in lectures, you know, get them around campus, that kind of thing. We also provide mentors in the Sunderland colleges for students with learning disabilities. So we're in the classroom type situation with them and provide support. We work with children with disabilities and help support the families. We've got, for the last couple of years, we work in partnership with a registered social landlord. It's easy for you to see. And they have built this state-of-the-art, fantastic 24-hour complex. It's called Extra Care, and we provide the 24-hour care in there with them. And there's bungalows around that as well. That really is the future. Excuse me, Alberta. Because people have their own little apartment, but they've got the care on tap. They don't really need to go into a residential. Independent Futures is a really exciting project. And what it is, it's where people with a learning disability, quite severe and complex, they've been out of Sunderland in different settings for many years. And the council wanted to bring them back. A, it's very expensive keeping them out of borough, and B, the people wanted to come back to their own town. So we work in a transition with health colleagues to get to know the person, and then they come out, they have their own homes. So what we say is we'd like them to have somewhere to live, so they've got their own tenancies, someone to love, so we help them build up personal relationships, appropriate ones, and something to do. And it's the something to do that makes it totally unique, I believe. We use micro-enterprise, which is baby businesses, tiny little businesses, to help them have more interesting lives. And so far we've got a dry car washing business, which is very environmentally friendly. We've got organic dog biscuits being made by these people. Remember, they couldn't do a thing for themselves before. Everything was done for them. We've got an allotment. Oh, she's pity Pam's gone. We could have got our heads together on the allotment. And we help older people if they need the gardens doing. So we've got, oh, there's a craft group as well. And you know, the psychologist who looks after the welfare of the people can't believe the change in these people. And I'm saying, well, it's not rocket science, you know, give someone a positive place to live and give the support around them positive, give them something nice to do that they really enjoy. And of course it's going to change them. They've all coming off the sections, they're all having full and interesting lives. And I think that's really mind-blowing when you see them, the difference. We work in partnership with the local authority and adult services. It's a little cafe at Harrington Country Park. It's only little, and it's lovely though, because it's, you know, there's a kids' park next to it, and there's a massive park with lakes and goodness knows what. And they asked us if we were interested in running a cafe, and I was like, a cafe, Sunderland Home Care? Not really. But then again, we thought we'd employ people with a learning disability, so that they can only earn £20 a week, otherwise their benefits are affected. And I thought, well, doesn't matter, we'll employ them. And for me, I started to go all wibbly-wobbly, because I think I don't know anybody else anywhere, any other company, or any person with a learning disability that has shares in that one company, and it does make you go all shaky at the thought. About 8 years ago, we wanted to replicate what Sunderland had done in the model. So we set up Care and Share Associates, which is CASA. Again, it's all about democracy and participation. We first went into North Tyneside and built up a standalone home care employee-owned company there, which has, on the slide you see, we've got 150 staff and 2,500 hours. Then we moved into Newcastle, did the same there. Then Manchester, then Calderdale and Leeds, And our latest one is Casa Norsley near Liverpool. And I just think that, again, when people work, all locally based, when people work in their own local community, they start to enrich it because they start earning money in that community, they'll spend it in that community, and that helps to regenerate that community. And that's what we're doing all over the country. We've since had a investment from Bridges Ventures, so we're able to scale now, really scale, and in the next few years you'll probably see a lot of CASA companies, the social franchise companies, sprouting up all over. But then that's what we wanted. We want the Sunderland model, one in every town in the north, democratise home care across the north. Such a little thing to do, but that's what we're trying to do. And the barriers to starting these, it's hard work starting new organisations, and it takes a lot of commitment. But you know, the commitment from the people, though, that work in the organisations is fantastic because they tend to stay around for a long time because of the culture of the company. They're getting shares in it, they own it, they have a vote, they put the board in, if you know, they'll vote for who they want. That leads, because of the low staff turnover and they're there a long time, that leads to a better quality service. So it's sort of like a win-win situation. Not the end user of the service is a winner as well, because people who own their own companies are not going to give a bad service. It's theirs, and it reflects on them. So what we need to overcome barriers, we need support with finance and business, selling themselves, because it's quite hard to market yourself. A culture change where people start believing in what they're doing, and that the way that their business is run is different, and it's a fabulous way to run a business. And then building the business, diversifying, you know, all those things we do. We think all the other CASA companies should diversify into other markets as well. It makes sense because it's more, you know, you've got more security that way. If I lose a tender, because we've got a tender for all of our work, I don't want all the workforce to be out of work. You know, I want something there for them. So if we diversify, there's other things that can do. So, what is mutuality forever? Ooh, can we all do that? Can you just like 1, 2, 3? Mutuality forever! Yes. But what does it mean? Well, I think it means engaging with and valuing your people, the people who work in the business. It's so important, and I suppose support the culture of us and us, and not us and them, because it's not about that. There is no them, there's just us. And it's a bit of a cliche now, but being open and transparent with everyone, it pays dividends. From the shop floor to senior management, it doesn't matter, open and transparent with everyone. And for me, it's rewards are for all, and not just the big cheeses. It's not about that. We've got a fair distribution of the surplus. And what we did when we changed to employee ownership, we got a working party to work out what the criteria for getting shares would be. And they came up with, oh, length of service, how much you earn. But the how much you earn, once you get past £15,000 a year, the shares stop. That's it. That's the ceiling. It doesn't matter that I might get more than other people because I'm the manager. I don't get any more than anybody who earns 15 grand. And I think that's mutuality forever. Thank you.